I fail here, we're going to show you how to make a pizza in your home oven. I have an oven very similar to anybody else's. Of course I have a baking steel in here, but I have a couple of baking steels. I have also a cast iron plate, and I'll show you that a little bit later. And I also have a pizza stone or a baking stone as well, but I don't use that anymore very often. I kind of prefer the baking steels because they can get a higher temperature. But we'll talk about it a little bit later. But we're going to do start to finish. So we're going to start here with the dough, the basics, what to put in it, and why, and we'll go all the way until actually baking and the finished product. So let's get started. First of all, a lot of home baking for pizzas includes oils and maybe sugars. I contend that you don't need that, really. I've used oil in pizza doughs before, and I've used sugars, and what I found out is that the sugars they do tend to help with the browning process. They don't really add a whole lot to the flavor, and there can be some people with digestion issues when using sugars in the doughs, and depending on how much, of course. And also oil does help the elasticity. So if you really want to stretch doughs really well without having them tear, some oil will help with that. And oils are often, you can put oil in it to kind of help it if you're going to be spinning dough or something like that. But I have found that making dough with just the basic four things, flour, water, yeast, and salt, produces a superior product. So, and we're going to do something just like that. Today's recipe is just another experiment on what I've been doing with my wood-fired oven pizzas. We're going to be using a similar recipe to kind of mimic what some of those Italian 00 flours offer to your pizza. And so what we have here is we're going to start with 1 kilogram of bread flour, and these are usually your higher protein flours. This one says here 12 grams of protein, and so what we're gonna drop the protein profile by adding cake flour. So today I'm gonna be using less than I used in that other recipe because I still want a little bit more strength. This is 150 grams of cake flour, so we're gonna be using these two flours be the basis. And then I have here 25 grams of whole wheat flour. You can use organic whole wheat flour. When I have a chance to get whole wheat flour that's organic, I do get that, but this one is not. This is just what I got at the supermarket nearby. This is 30 grams of sea salt. And here I have half a gram of instant dry yeast. And to give you an idea of how little amount of dry yeast that is, this spoon is a full teaspoon. So this is a whole teaspoon, and you can see it wouldn't even fill up that whole spoon. I mean, it'd be very little. So if you're trying to eyeball how much half a gram is, look at your teaspoon you have in your kitchen, and just kind of eyeball about that much. You'll be all right. You can put more. You can a little bit more wouldn't hurt. A little bit less won't hurt either. Typically I'd put even less yeast, but I'm going for a more robust dough that has lots and lots of air that's gonna work well in a little bit slower cooking, because this oven is only going to get up to 270 degrees Celsius, which is somewhere in the 500 something, 550, if not quite, maybe 500 something Fahrenheit. So it doesn't go as hot as a wood-fired oven. So I'm going to try to create a little bit more lift with just a little bit more yeast than I would normally use. And here we have 800 grams of cold water. Okay, cold water, get your salt, yeast, and the flour blends here. And I keep a spatula on hand just in case I need to scrape the bowl. And I haven't been using this much because I've been using my hands, but when you do a lot of doughs, sometimes your hands kind of get a little sore from that. So I'm going to start using this plastic spatula when necessary. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some of our 800 grams of water and we're going to pour it right into the wheat flour. And we're going to add our yeast and we're going to go ahead and mix that around, okay? Just with the hands, just kind of dissolve the yeast and give the yeast a kind of a playground to get started, okay? Okay. So I'm kind of dissolving everything, and the first food it's going to see is the whole wheat flour. Not that that's going to make much of a difference with just a few minutes before finding its way into the whole bed of flour, but anyway, it can get started. Okay. Okay. Now, don't expect to see any action right now, like, you know, heavy bubbling. We're just trying to dissolve everything into kind of a smooth, liquidy mixture, so we know that the yeast is well distributed in this. Okay. All right. Very good. So let's go ahead and pour the rest of the water into our bowl. Okay, and go ahead and add all the cake flour. I'm going to add some of, about half of this flour. Not all of it just yet. That looks close to half. Okay, close to half. And then we're going to add this whole wheat mixture into it. Okay. Okay, and just kind of massage this in. At the moment, we're not going to do any kneading at the moment, just distributing the moisture. By distributing the moisture before you start your actual kneading, you'll have a much more balanced dough, moisture-wise, when you start the kneading, and you won't run into, you know, just sticky patches and then dry patches, and that can often happen. So this is a way to avoid that problem. So I've made kind of a nice creamy mixture with my hand, just kind of squeezing it all through. And the dry spots, I'll pick those up. So I'm not doing any kneading yet, as you can see. I'm just squeezing that moisture in. Okay. I can start to feel like some of the protein's starting to gain a little strength there. So had I started kneading, that would be more progressed. But, okay, that looks pretty good. That looks reasonable. At this point, now I'm going to add most of the rest of the flour, not all of it. I'm squeezing the back end of this bag so I can keep about a very small handful. If you can see inside that bag, you probably see there's some flour at the bottom of that bag. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to add my salt. Just put that in my hand and kind of spread that around the top. Okay. Again, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze it in to kind of ensure the moisture gets balanced, as I said before. So this mixture is going to make roughly around 2 full kilograms worth of dough. I prefer to make more dough than I need for any specific meal, because one of the great things I like to do to save time when I need a quick lunch is I like to make some extra pizzas on pizza day and freeze those extra pizzas. And when I'm in a hurry and I need something to eat for lunch, I can just defrost a pizza in about an hour and have it ready to eat in, you know, just 5 minutes. So, okay, so I'm going to start doing some of the kneading process here. And that's where one of these comes in handy. It's there's a straight edge and there's a round edge. So I'm going to use both of them, depending what I need. So I can take some of this off my hands. And I don't really worry too much about getting stuck on my hands at the moment because it'll come off later. Okay, now one of the big differences between my process of making dough and some of the processes I've seen made in dough making when I was in Italy is that they don't really scrape the bowl off. I like to scrape the bowl because there's not only just the loss of product, but just to ensure that if I need to change the recipe in the future, say maybe I want to go with less water in the future, I might not know that, and it might be that my hydration problem has to do with some of my product being stuck on the bowl later. But if I can get it all into the mixture, get it all into the dough, then I can ensure that any adjustments I start making in the future will be much more accurate. So, and if you have a chunk of dough on your hand, that also works for cleaning off the edges, so, and protects your hand. But I just started using that recently, this dough scraper. Okay, so now I'm going to start kneading a little more vigorously. It's kind of pushing it into itself. Get this off my hands because this product is also necessary. Okay, now at this point, I think for the most part we've got everything in here, and we can go ahead and add the rest of the flour that's in the bag, and that'll also serve a purpose of cleaning off my hands completely. Okay, so let's go ahead and put some of that in here. Okay. So you want to do this early on. You don't want to be cleaning the bowl 20 minutes later after your second or third knead, because it's really important to get all your product in there, get it all into the initial ball. So you can ensure balance with everything from the moisture to the yeast to the salt. Everything should be perfectly balanced by making sure you've cleaned off the bowl, cleaned off your hands, and haven't lost much or if any product at all. Okay, it's about clean enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. All of that? Okay. Should be the whole load there.
Okay, the initial job of incorporating all the ingredients looks successful. So what we have here is a patchy looking lump of dough. This is stage one. So what we're going to do, we're going to cover this, give it about 10 minutes of a rest, and we're going to knead it again. Okay, so this dough's been relaxing for a little while, so go ahead and start just loosening it from the bowl. I'm going to give it a couple of quick kneads in here. Okay. And so you see what the rest accomplishes. It brings everything together and it starts to develop a bit of a smoothness just from that. So now I'll take it out of the bowl. So I'll just give it a couple of rolls like that. And then like that. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to give it vigorous kneading now. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the dough making process, but I'm gonna let it rest another time. Then I'm going to knead it again a little bit. I'm going to rest it another time, and I'm going to knead it one more time, and then we'll let that rest for a little while, and then we're gonna ball it and get it ready for tomorrow. So you can see very nicely smooth this is becoming, right? So it's starting to kind of come out. So the dough is almost really ready, but I like to ensure good development of the gluten. Okay, so I don't go too far to breaking it. Okay, so we'll let that rest for a little while longer. I'll give it another 10 minutes. Okay, let's give this guy its final knead here, and I'm going to take it out. Looks good. Okay, just going to knead it just a little bit, just to bring back its smoothness, and so you can see there. Okay, now when you see a bit of spring, you see you push it down and it springs kind of back like that. This puppy's done. This guy's ready. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave this in here for about 45 minutes, and then we're gonna portion it out, and we'll get it ready for tomorrow's baking. Okay. So take my dough out. So this has been resting for about 45 minutes. Okay, get it all up. Okay, whoops. There we go. Okay. And now we're going to turn on our scale here. We're going to do two sizes of dough balls. We'll do some small ones at about 160 grams and some big ones at about 300 grams. Usually I go between around 280, 285 for pizzas I do outside. Unless I'm planning to put a lot of toppings on them, I might go up about 290, 295 maybe. But we're gonna go with 300. We kind of like a little bit more of a thicker crust pizza when we bake inside in our home oven. So we'll go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is just kind of spread this out into kind of a long snake, and let's see, I'm gonna kind of eyeball some portions here and add some. So I'm gonna try to make 6 big ones and 5 small ones. Let's see, and we'll check the weight afterwards. So that's a big one. So let's check and see. This one seems a little bit small. Let's add a little bit to that. No, yeah, it is too small. So Maybe my calculations are incorrect, but I thought this was about, so that's 250, 270, 295, and 299. About like that, huh? Oh, these are kind of light, I guess. 243. I don't even know. Maybe I miscalculated, but look, we'll see. Let's just go to, let's get the big ones done. I don't know what I'm gonna have left over for any small ones, if any. Maybe two small ones. Okay, there's 300. Yeah, let's go. Small ones, 292. 301. Take a piece off of that. Okay. 262. 37. 299, close enough. 267. 29. How's that? 298. Just a little sliver there, about 300. 251. 92. Okay. Well, I guess I didn't really have that much. Huh? Okay. So, 615. How much is this? Oh, 200. Yeah, we'll live that with small 200. Okay, so I have, what's that? 6. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, I miscalculated. I misspoke, but I calculated it right. So we have six big ones here. So, and then we'll just have one small one. So 6 at around 300. So, lightly flour our container here. Okay. And really, I don't really want too much flour on my hands when I'm balling the dough, because what you can do is you can kind of do kind of a circular motion. That's one way to do it, and kind of pinch it closed underneath. But also you can use this kind of other technique where you're kind of pinching in and rotating and pinching in, rotating, pinching in. Okay, we'll set that in there. A little space here. Okay. Okay. Let's roll that ball. Pinch it closed. Okay. Place that there. Okay. Pinch closed there. There. And I'll go ahead and do this one a more simple way. Just kind of fold it in on itself. Fold and pinch. And rotate. Fold, pinch, and rotate. So you get a nice ball like that. Kind of pinch it close at the end there. You got a nice ball there. And into the container. Yeah, I don't know why I thought I was going to get 5 small ones. Crazy. But, okay, my calculation was exactly 2,000 grams of finished dough, so that we came out with perfectly. So, and the dough feels great. So. And just roll this one. Set this guy on the back here. Okay, that is finished dough balls. We're gonna let this sit for 24 hours, roughly 24 hours. about 23 and a half hours, but it's been sitting for about 45 minutes already, so it's going to get a total fermentation of about 24 hours. We'll see you tomorrow, dough balls. Okay, so it's been 24 hours. It's now it's about 7 p.m. and we're going to continue on. I've already made one pizza. You can already see how it came out. It's quite nice. This is just a margarita I'm going to send to the freezer for my daughter's lunches one day. And this is what the dough looks like 24 hours later. It's kind of very, very relaxed, very soft. And so I've already got one here in my flour. So, and okay, so let's go ahead and stretch this guy out the same way I normally do. So this should go out to about 12 inches. And we're going to make something that my family kind of calls the carbonara pizza. Okay. Okay, so it's big enough. Let's get I always recommend baking pizza at home to use this little safety guy, because you never have to worry about your pizza sticking to a peel or sticking to your counter or anything else. And I kind of like the Costco oven paper because it's exactly 30 centimeters, which tells you how big your pizza is, right? So stretch out just a little bit more to fit. That off there. Okay. So this we're basically going to just add a little bit of olive oil and some pancetta. Okay. Tear it off there. I try to leave a little hole here for the egg. So I'm going to take out this mid-bake and add the egg. So okay, we have that. And a little bit of Parmigiano here at this point. We're going to add a little bit more later too. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and send this guy into the oven. So I use my steel peel for that. And the oven is roughly around 550 degrees, so it's about as hot as a regular home oven can go. Okay, that's about ready. We'll put it in the cooling rack. And, let's add some Parmigiano Reggiano. And
bit of extra virgin olive oil, and that is done. I'll take it over here, cutting. And, next step, what we normally do is we break that yolk and spread that goodness all around. Okay. And distribute the bacon nicely. And that is a finished pizza. There we go. Okay, and here's another pizza that just came out. You can see the bottom, nice and toasty. That's what's good about those baking steels. And this is a pepperoni and fresh mushrooms and some sliced onions, and just a regular mozzarella and some Parmigiano Reggiano. And my pizza sauce. You can find that recipe in the description below, and the link. It's going to be on the screen in just a minute.